Egyptians are not Arabs. The Shamiyin, the Arabs from the Levant are not really Arabs. The Moroccans are not Arabs. Only the people from Saudi Arabia and in the Gulf states are Arabs. Who says so? What does it mean to be Arab? Because I hear this all the time. I'm like, what do you mean that Egyptians are not Arabs, right? Because they're not the in the Gulf, so that means all of a sudden they're not Arabs. I hear this from Egyptians. I'm not saying this is the Khalijis that are saying this. I hear this from Egyptians too. I hear this from Egyptians. I hear Shamin even say that they're not Arabs. But what does it mean to be Arab? Isn't speaking the language? Does the language not make you part of the people, or do you mean the blood? Because if it's a language, then obviously you speak the language, even if it's mukhallata, with words that come from other languages. So that's the same thing that you find in English. The British English is has a bunch of French in it. Does that mean they're not English? They're not English, right? Does that make them French now? Right? So if you're talking about language, then I don't see the argument here. If you're talking about culture, Shamiyin have a bunch of Arab culture in it, right? Also, a lot of the adat al taqalid, right, is of the Arabs. They might have some other things as well, but a lot of it is majority Arab. The Egyptians, the same thing, right? The Libyans, the same thing, all right? So how are they not Arabs? I don't see this argument, right? And if you're talking about blood, okay, you can say, okay, well, Egyptians are not pure Arabs because right the Copts that were in Egypt, and and then you have some Arabs that came in. Okay, but how much Arab blood do you need to be an Arab, right? And if you even look at the Khalij, right, you have a bunch of Iranians that have moved in, a bunch of Indians that have moved in over the centuries. So who is really the Arab in the Khalij, right? Who is really the Arab in the Khalij? If that's your argument, okay, if it's about blood, right? And if you're looking at Sham, right? The Sahaba went to Sham. A lot of the Sahaba went to Sham. The Umayyah, Bani Umayyah, we forget that Bani Umayyah was in Sham. They all moved to Sham. They all moved to Sham, right? And they had their wives, they had their kids, and a lot of people moved to Sham as well, right? And same thing with Iraq, right? Is Iraq are Iraqis Persians now? They're not Arabs anymore, even though Al Qaqa Ibn Ahmed Tamimi moved there, even though Ali ibn Abi Talib moved there, radiallahu anhum, even though this and that person moved to Iraq, right? All these people, the Sahabis that moved there, they're still not doesn't make them Arab. How much blood do you need to be Arab? Because I'm not seeing this argument, right? And if you look at people that move from one country to another, right? You can say, well, these people they're not really from here, because their father came from somewhere else. Okay, but that person does not speak the language that his fathers used to speak from his original country. He doesn't speak there. He didn't grow up on the same adat or taqalid. So is he still from there? His father is from Guinea, but he doesn't speak the Ghanaian language. The Ghanaian language. He didn't grow up on the adat or taqalid of the culture, customs and cultures and traditions of the Ghanaians. He grew up in France, so he speaks French. He has French adat and traditions and what have you. So is he still Ghanaian because his father's Ghanaian? When does he become French? Because I know definitely that the people that are in France now came from other countries as well, right? As a matter of fact, the Franks that make up France, a good portion of France, are Germanic people, right? Same thing with Britain, right? So all of a sudden they're Germans now. They're not British. So I'm not sure about this argument. A lot of people talk about this all the time. Like what's going on? How much blood do you need to be Arab if it's blood? How much blood? How many generations do you need to be living in a place to become part of the people? Um, it's just strange to me that all of a sudden the Egyptians are not Arabs, right? And again, I'm saying that I hear this from Egyptians themselves. We are not Arabs, not all Egyptians, obviously, right? But what makes you not an Arab? Unless you can tell me, unless you can maybe I don't know, you can bring out your whole nasab, and you can go back go back hundreds and hundreds of years and show me that no Arab has entered your blood, all right? but still, then you speak the language and you have the adat taqalid of the Arabs. So you're not an Arab, no? How much of the Coptic language do you speak? How much do you speak of that? Do you even speak it? Huh? How much of the Coptic traditions do you know that you actually follow? Right? How much of it do you follow for you to be actually a Copt? I don't know. I just find this strange. And people, people like really holding on to this, like it's like if it's like you're degrading me or denigrating me by saying that I'm so and so. I'm an Arab. I'm not when I'm not really an Arab. They're really mutassibin. Like, come on. It's not that serious, man. You speak Arabic, you follow the other taqalid, you might as well be an Arab. But hey, this is my opinion.